All right, everybody, it's time for the Fauci update about the latest numbers, the data, the mitigation, caution, science, words. It's time for Fauci to weigh in because you may be thinking to yourself, oh, at some point I'm going to get my life back. But Fauci's here to be like, probably not. You're going to be living with this for like the next, 50, 60 years maybe, however much time you got left. I'm not sure. No big whoop. But, just stay home. Don't do anything fun. Don't see anybody you love. Don't, lift your mask up too long while you're eating food. Mitigation.
Fauci's out there to make sure that we all think that we're never going to win. So that's good to know.
Until the vaccine.
Which, who knows when the vaccine will come. Increasingly, it's looking like this is going to be similar to a flu vaccine, where they're throwing darts at a board. This year, maybe we get it. Next year, maybe we don't. And, a small percentage overall the country is even going to be taking it. I say small, roughly 30 to 40%, I think, of Americans get a flu vaccine every year. Let's call it about 30%. That's not that many in the grand scheme of things. It helps, but it only helps if the vaccine is effective. And who knows if it really is? Well, they don't usually know until they've made it. And then by the time they make an updated vaccine, it's too late in the season, and maybe you've already gotten the flu. But that's what we're all seeing. That's what we all deal with. So now I think it's time for us to look at where the data is, where the numbers are. And as is my custom, I like to look at the CDC case number and death number every day before I come on the show. And tell you the latest information. So let's see what I can get. I mean, I told you this yesterday, right? CDC deaths. Let's see what they say from this for COVID. And it's usually in the 200 to 300 range. 300 and, oh no, well they haven't yet, as I'm on here, they haven't yet updated it yet, but it was 322 deaths yesterday, 46,000 new cases. Okay. Shouldn't that tell us that something's going on here? If we're at a peak in cases, and have been now for a week and a half, and you have hospitalizations that are much shorter, even for those who are hospitalized from this, and the death number is down, 80 to 90%, depending on the count you're talking about, isn't something going on that's worthwhile? Well,
Dr. Fauci wants you to know, no, don't feel better about this. It's not a good story. Here's what I got to say.
Blake, clip 5.
I want to emphasize just because it's such important what the senator just said, that it's a false narrative to take comfort in a lower rate of death. There's so many other things that are very dangerous and bad about this virus. Don't get yourself into false complacency.
What is he talking about? Now we're going to get to the, people who survive, some of them say they have lingering symptoms or they have. Okay, so are we going to then notice that we were told shut down or people will die? And now we have numbers about how many people are dying from this, and they don't justify a shutdown. So now they're going to say that the symptoms that you have or the possibility of lingering effects of this, that's going to justify a shutdown. See how we can never get out of shutdown with these people. The data that's used to justify it today is data that tomorrow they will forget all about, and they'll tell you, sorry, we have a new metric we're going to use. All right? We have a new system of how we're going to gauge when it's safe. This is a subjective term. Nothing is entirely safe, really, in life. There's risk with going outside your house. As I'm fond of saying, because it's a line that I remember from the movie Heat with Al Pacino, you get killed walking your doggy. Some of you will catch that. And I don't know, only if you've seen Heat 100 times for some reason like I have. But it's true. And I still walk my dog 3 times a day. Little Toulouse. She's an adorable, chubby little monster. But this is what we're dealing with now. We can't even, it's a false narrative for the deaths are down. No, that's not a false narrative. That's really important. That's really important. And, I remember when Chris Cuomo had this and he was in the, he was in the mansion in the Hamptons. He was like, everybody listen to the doctors, Man, I can't even take my protein weight gainer these days because I'm just like so tired all the time. And Fauci was calling him every night, apparently. That was my first big red flag that something's wrong with Dr. Fauci here. You got time? You're supposed to be running the coronavirus effort. You're sucking up to Chris Cuomo? Letting him know, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. So when a celebrity, lib journo gets this, the message is, you're young. You're going to be fine. But for the rest of us, it's panic. Stay panicked. When does it end? When does it end? Are we now going to be told about some people here and there have some symptoms of this that lingers? Guess what? Some people have symptoms of a lot of things that can linger. But notice they keep moving. The goalposts are used to get what they want when they want it, and then they move them, and then they shut us down again. Explicitly, that's what they've done in New York. Oh, we need to get to this for phase 3 reopen. Well, phase 3 is not going to be what we said it was because other places are having problems. Oh, okay. So when it's really bad in New York, a very blue Democrat state, we obviously are on the most severe lockdown they can possibly come up with. And then when things get better over time, because the virus has passed through and because it's summertime and people are outdoors more, oh no, it's because of all of our mitigation. Sure it is. As that happens, because every year the flu goes away because of all the hand washing and social distancing that goes on, right? Think about this for yourself. Don't allow these people to kind of, intellectually browbeat you or blackmail you into thinking things that don't make any sense. Every day now, Cuomo's, we did all these things so good. We were so strong with the social distancing and the masks. And we used the masks and the social distancing so well that now we're at the lower level of cases. Why are we at lower level of cases? Because you listen to me and don't ask me any questions about the nursing homes. That's what has actually happened here if you are going to believe Democrat propaganda and absurd nonsense, right? That's where, look at other respiratory infections. They spike and then they go down every year in summertime. That's just the way it happens. That doesn't mean it's gone, but it spikes and it goes down. In this case, we have a newly introduced infection that has spread to other parts, but it is the first. He is right that this is, give credit where it's due to Fauci. This is the first wave. Play 16, please.
The current state is really not good in the sense that, as you know, we had been in a situation where we were averaging about 20,000 new cases a day, and then a series of circumstances associated with various states and cities trying to open up in the sense of getting back to some form of normality has led to a situation where we've now had record-breaking cases. 2 days ago, it was at 57,500. So within a period of a week and a half, we've almost doubled the number of cases.
You know what's going to happen? And as I've said, get ready for this. Yes, there is a spike, there's a surge, there'll be additional hospitalizations, and some people, unfortunately, will die from this disease. That's going to happen no matter what we do, no matter what we say. That's just going to happen. It has been happening. It will continue to happen. We take precautions. You're trying to do reasonable things to limit your exposure, but lockdown is not reasonable. That's the point. And it'll drop in these other places the same way that it has dropped in New York. It'll peak and it'll go down the same way it has all over the world. Places that have lockdowns, places that don't have lockdowns. I mean, there was a piece today in the New York Times, Sweden has a cautionary tale. Why is it a cautionary tale? They're in the middle of the pack in Europe, not as good as Norway and Denmark, but way better than the UK, than Spain, than Italy, than Belgium. Belgium was crushed by this disease. So why are we singling out Sweden? Because Sweden did not lock down its economy. Oh, so now they're saying, well, the economy still got hurt. Okay. There are reasons to not lock down an economy that aren't just about economic productivity. Letting people live their freaking lives. That's a part of this too. Freedom, choice, a reason to get up in the morning. All right. It's starting to feel like we're in that scene in the Matrix where all the human beings are in the pink goo and being used as batteries for the Matrix to perpetuate itself. That's kind of what lockdown starts to feel like after a while. Stay home, eat lots of food, don't move, don't go to the gym, don't go to parks, don't go to beach. You know, it's like we're all little batteries feeding the statist overlords in our system until the Democrats can take over. And then maybe we can all get out from the pouch covered in pink goo. Working from home is driving up one of the worst kinds of cybercrime out there, home title theft. You see, here's how it works. We're doing a lot from home these days, working, studying, spending time with family, and the thieves know that they want to target your home. Actually, what they want is the title to your home. What they do is find out online what personal information they need so that they can take out loans against your home's title and then stick you with the payments. Look, FBI is trying to warn people about this constantly. Home title lock is how you can take steps to protect yourself. Your home's legal title is online where the bad guys can find it. Home title lock puts a virtual barrier around your home's title. Protect your home now. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and register your home to see if you're already a victim of this insidious practice. Use code BUCK for 30 free days of protection to help you through this crisis. That's code BUCK at HomeTitleLock.com. Again, HomeTitleLock.com. Put a virtual barrier around your home's title. Be safe. Try this. Okay, a victory today. The Supreme Court for the Little Sisters of the Poor. In case you had forgotten, because I think we've got so much these days, it's totally understandable that this might have slipped out of the memory banks a little bit. The Little Sisters of the Poor were hounded. I mean, were targeted by the Obama administration Department of Justice because this is a group of nuns who did not want to pay through their health care for birth control. And also, I think Plan B was the other part of this that was troubling for them. So they, as a religion, first of all, they're nuns, so they're, at least from all that we know, not engaging in any activity that would require birth control. But more than that, for their employees or people who work with them, they have a moral objection to having their funds that allow them to operate as nuns to go to paying for birth control. And this is a real consideration for them. This is I'm blanking on the term, but a religious conviction, a sincere religious conviction. There we go. Sincerely held belief. That's what I was trying to think of as the term. And today, by a 7-2 decision, the Supreme Court said, yeah, you can't make these nuns pay for these products. You can't make the Little Sisters of the Poor pay for contraception. That's going to be a little bit too much. Now, I understand this is a big win. First of all, it's been an abysmal month in the Supreme Court for people who are who care about constitutional rights and individual freedoms and all the rest of it. It's been an abysmal month, okay? But, yeah, okay, this was the right decision. Keep in mind, it wasn't 9-0. It was 7-2. Sotomayor, the least capable mind on the Supreme Court. And Ginsburg, who is just it's like you have the head of Planned Parenthood on the Supreme Court, effectively. I know she was a senior counsel at the ACLU, but, it's like the libs managed to put the head of Planned Parenthood on the Supreme Court and say, look, see, she's a genius. So those two libs said, no, they should be able to make them do this. And there's a whole argument that I'm not even really going to get into today where is contraception really, is it health care or is it a decision that involves one's health? It's not necessarily the same thing. But here's where I come down on this one. I find it very difficult to view this as a cause of celebration. I think it's more just an exhalation of relief. Okay, so religious freedom hasn't had yet another nail put in its coffin. But here's where I see this going. They're not going to stop harassing religious groups with things like this. They're still going to sue nuns. The libs haven't changed their minds on any of this. They're not going to respect this as precedent. And the left, when it comes up for a big momentous decision, they all of a sudden don't care about precedent. When a conservative, quote unquote, judge like Roberts wants to give the libs what they want, oh, well, there's a precedent to lean on, or oh, we need to sort of split this decision down the middle. We don't want to have the court be a tool of politics when it is obviously being used by the left as a tool of politics. So they've ruled in favor of the Little Sisters of the Poor, but this fight is not even a little bit over. Maybe this particular case is, but they're still going to try to find ways to make Christians bend the knee to the liberal agenda. And one area where you can see this is definitely going to happen is in the realm of transgender rights. Because of the decision that Gorsuch signed on to, now you're going to see challenges under the emboldened transgender rights doctrine in the Supreme Court now, which Gorsuch, blessed. Now you're going to see religious institutions assaulted on those grounds. Why won't you at your Catholic school hire this transgender, this transgender teacher? Or, why won't you allow this transgender person to become a priest or whatever it is? There's going to be more lawsuits. They're just going to keep the lawfare against religious faith will continue against Christian and conservative Orthodox Jewish faith. It will continue. Against other religions, the ACLU is going to be very hands-off, I can assure you on that. No, they're allowed to do what they need to do. They have religious freedom because they're not part of, in the minds of liberals, the system of oppression and white supremacy that has overtaken this country, or has always been the foundation of this country, depending on which lib you talk to. So here you have a victory, but I think it'll be somewhat fleeting. And it's really like, think of it, instead of winning, it's as though they have repelled an assault on religious freedom, but inside the keep of the castle. I mean, if this had gone against them, you'd have to ask, what's really left of religious freedom? What can you not be told to do? Can you tell nuns that they have to directly pay out of their pocket to pay for other people's abortions? I mean, what is too far? So yes, they were able to prevent a total collapse here, but we are, and I think analogies are useful here. We are defending on our own 10-yard line of religious liberty. We are not running down to their end zone, spiking the football and doing a victory dance. No. This is almost like a goal line stand for the First Amendment. And they're going to keep on running it up the middle until they get through. That's their plan. And if you look at the last 50 years of Supreme Court jurisprudence, they're basically winning. They keep doing it because their victories are forever. Conservative victories, conserving the society we have as we know it and the Constitution as it was written, those are always under sustained assault until there's a breach. And then legally, culturally, psychologically, this country has accepted, well, when the libs get what they want in the court, that's forever. That sacrosanct can't be changed. When conservatives have a defense of freedom or liberty, no. Just give it time. There'll be another opportunity to tear it down. There'll be another opportunity to erode what the court has already decided. So, we are on perpetual defense. That's really, we do not look at things like the Second Amendment. They won't even take up cases to defend the Second Amendment. So what you have are states and various Democrat prosecutors and law enforcement entities just keep on doing everything they can to make it impossible to get a gun, make it annoying to be able to take it anywhere, make sure that there's really strict rules about magazine capacity, all this nonsense. Supreme Court's like, well, I mean, that's the Second Amendment, but you got to be able to have it in your home if you pass a bunch of annoying tests and deal with all kinds of stuff that you would not have to deal with otherwise. That's as far as they're willing to go on this. So am I looking at this and saying it's a great thing. I think you have to look at this and say, okay, this is good. Oh, there was another case as well that came down that said that a person, two people who were fired from a Catholic school, that the schools aren't covered under the same employment law protections because they're religious institutions as other places. So I mean, there's a couple of data points in favor here. But when you think about some of the other cases that have come down, when you think about the ruling on sex to include gender identity, which is just another one of these decisions that anybody who is being honest will look back on and say, how could they have done so much violence to the law here? So that's inevitable. And then you have the DACA case, where Obama can decide that he can do something that's unconstitutional. There is not a court that will stop him with DACA. And then Trump can come in and say, well, I'm going to use my same executive power and authority that Obama had to not make that executive decision that he made. And the Supreme Court will say, we don't like your reasons for it. So Administrative Procedures Act, bam, blocked. Really? Yes, really. This is the country we live in now, folks. Remember, these are all just human beings making these decisions. We don't have some court of, we call it the Supreme Court, but these are just people. They're just lawyers. And they're people that want to be, they want their kids to be treated nicely in school, and they want, legal articles to reflect their brilliance, and they have egos, and they have their own policy predilections. And this is why it's so important that it is all rooted in the actual text and purpose of the Constitution. But no, what we have increasingly is just the Supreme Court as another super legislature. And I don't know how we turn this back. Oh, and the libs will pack the court as soon as they can. Don't think they won't. How snobby and gutless and stupid is our news media? Now, I know it's very broad, right? A lot of people in news media, but who are some of the big names in the legacy lib news media that you think of? And you would have to wonder, at what lengths are they willing to go to continue this charade that Donald Trump is the worst person to have ever been in the Oval Office in the history of the world, that Donald Trump is just the worst person on the planet, and that liberal insanity that we've all been put through for the last 6 weeks isn't really a problem. I mean, how could anyone really make that argument given what we are seeing in cities? But no, Bro Cuomo and Don Lemon, they, over at CNN, they think this is a point of humor. They think this is ridiculous that Democrat cities are like so full of crime. No, they are actually. But here's what the multimillionaire, entirely replaceable by anybody who works for any local news station anywhere in the country, of course. But here's what they have to say about the state of crime in cities in America right now. Play clip 2.
When you see Trump's poll numbers go south, they kick in with
no position on the Confederate flag.
Yeah, Democratic cities are in chaos right now. Is this what you want from Joe Biden? And they're going to take your country away, and they're taking down the statues. And
crime is rising as they defund police.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. And they get defunding police. It's like,
ha ha ha, crime is rising. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, a lot of people are dying, you morons. But ha, crime is rising, huh? That's a fact. That's a fact. In New York, it's a fact in Chicago. I'm sure it's a fact in a lot of other cities if you started to crunch the numbers. People are getting shot. Cops aren't feeling supported enough to do their jobs. Every cop you talk to will tell you this. In Atlanta, they've had to call in the National Guard because of all of the violence. This is funny? I mean, do these morons even read the website that they work for, technically, CNN? I mean, do they even know what's going on? But all that matters is, Trump, yeah. You know what the biggest problem facing the country is? Has a journalist asked Trump in the last 6 hours about the Confederate flag. That's the real concern that we should all have. Not people getting shot and murdered in the streets because of trash heaps like CNN that promote lies constantly. Oh, it's so dangerous for people because of cops. Oh my gosh, how could we all look at what the cops are doing? They're all frauds. Trust me. Pro Cuomo, Don Lemon, any of the CNN anchors, any of the CNN correspondents, they heard something go bump in the night. They heard a problem at their window or at their front door. They'd call the cops and they'd be begging for them to get there as soon as possible. We all know this. But yet they have no problem going on TV and just trashing them. You might say, oh, Buck, but no, they're just talking about... No, they're not. They're defund... Oh, defund cops. That's funny. It's actually happening in places. They're pulling funding from the NYPD in New York City to give more broadband access to housing projects. That's supposed to... Oh, if people have Wi-Fi, there'll be less shootings. They really think this. And they don't think that's, at CNN, they don't think that's absurd. No, they mock the people that have a problem with the spike in crime. They mock people like me who live in New York, who live in Midtown Manhattan, right in the middle of it. I don't live in a multi-million-dollar mansion. I live in a small apartment, just trying to pay my bills, just trying to go about my life. And there's a sense that every New Yorker will tell you that it is less safe here on the streets at night. There are more aggressive, belligerent, dangerous vagrants than you usually see on New York City streets. I saw another hypodermic needle on the street on my block yesterday. I saw a guy shooting up heroin a few weeks ago in broad daylight. These are not normal things for where I live. I've had a night where it was like the purge outside and people were shattering windows and going crazy in the most expensive shopping district in New York, perhaps in the world, certainly the most famous. And they think this is all funny. These morons think this is funny. But what about the message of BLM, Buck? Yeah, nice try. The message of BLM has turned into destroy America, undermine the country, pull down the statues, get rid of the founders, and do everything we say or else. And no jokes, no free speech, no fun. That's also a part of this, right? Don't enjoy yourself unless we say you can. One of the biggest areas of victory for the woke left, and it's I don't know how we turn this back, because it's about a sensibility. It's about cultural norms. You can't make jokes anymore. You can't make jokes. No, not allowed to make fun of things. You can have that woman who's like, it's frightening to people that you have hey, remember that woman, I forget her name, Robin something or other? It's frightening that you have a child who is brown sitting on your lap and you're a white man. She's freaking out I played the audio for earlier. There are a lot of really funny things I could say about her, but better watch out. Oh, that sounds like misogynistic or something. Then they come after you. The left deserves mountains of ridicule and people who are out there ruining careers and canceling people and getting them fired and making it hard for them to support themselves and their families and humiliating them. And if you mock them, and they deserve to be mocked, but you go after some of their protected leftism, nobody will stand up for you. Nobody's going to say, oh, that's okay. I've said before, I can't do accents of non-white individuals on radio. And no one's ever told me that rule. I just know, right? I can do Italian and Russian and English and Irish. There are a lot of other accents I could do. Not if I don't want to get canceled. Why do we accept that? Can't make jokes, can't be funny. If you're a lib, they'll forgive you even for wearing blackface back in the day, as Jimmy Kimmel did, right? If you're a lib, then all of a sudden the rules are a little, but even libs have to be careful. Sometimes they'll feed their own to the mob just so they can maintain that degree of power. But humor is now, public humor is very difficult. making jokes, making fun of anybody on the left, because what they will do is find an ism to tie your joke to and attack you with it and say you're a bad person. And we can't just all laugh at something. Oh, that was actually kind of funny. That was a funny joke. Oh no. They can ridicule us in the most, and they think it's, of course, really funny, right? They can ridicule. Oh, remember the guy that went on CNN? He's like, yeah, those idiots with their Bibles and their guns and the whole, he did that whole thing on CNN. You can make fun of white Christians in every way, as in a nasty a fashion as you want, and that's fine. But if you make a joke about the absurdity of people who are like, there are 37 genders, you're like, what? No, there's not. Whoa, be careful. Watch out. This is a huge weapon that's been taken off the table, rhetorically speaking, for pushing back on this insanity. One thing that totalitarians cannot abide is mockery. They can't do it. You mock them, you make fun of them, you erode their power. They know it. And the left is screaming for ridicule right now. All these white Wellesley graduates who are like, I hate the cops. How do you sleep at night? They're all screaming at them and everything. People should be getting made fun of all over the place. But are you making fun of Black Lives Matter? No, I'm making fun of one moron but even go to that point. You can now start to debate the movement. Can you make fun of the movement? Do you see anybody making fun of the movement? This is a huge part of discourse and of our culture that we've effectively just ceded this to the other side. No jokes that upset the left, or else. We've got to find a way to turn that around. At first, it sounds good, right? A letter on justice and open debate. You say to yourself, all right, this is what we need, right? We need to start letting people think and talk and not have this crazy cancel culture stuff everywhere and not have all this nonsense going on, right? This is what everybody would initially think as they saw, or at least a lot of people would, as they saw the Harper's Magazine letter on justice and open debate. And, there's some famous folks. J.K. Rowling signed this, for all you Gryffindors or Snapes I've never read the Harry Potter books. Producer Mark, have you read them?
Yes, I love them dearly.
Really?
Yeah, I love the books, love the movies. We've discussed this before.
You're so deadpan, dude. I can never know if you're messing with me. Okay, yeah.
No, I'm 100% serious. I love the Harry Potter movies and books.
So, okay. So he knows a lot more about that than I do. I've seen one of the movies and have read none of the books. Anyway, she's a billionaire author, J.K. Rowling. Salman Rushdie on the list. Let's see who else that you would know, perhaps. I don't know. Gloria Steinem. I don't know. There's other people on here, too. David Frum, who thinks he's a lot smarter than he is. John McWhorter, he's a smart dude over at Columbia University. Anyway, some people you know, a lot of people you don't. Bunch of writers and, intellectuals or whatever. And this is how they write the first paragraph. So get ready for this. Our cultural institutions are facing a moment of trial. Powerful protests for racial and social justice are leading to overdue demands for police reform, along with wider calls for greater equality and inclusion across our society, not least in higher education, journalism, philosophy, philanthropy, and the arts. But this needed reckoning has also intensified a new set of moral attitudes and political commitments that tend to weaken our norms of open debate and tolerance of differences in favor of ideological conformity. As we applaud the first development, we also raise our voices against the second. The forces of illiberalism are gaining strength throughout the world and have a powerful ally in Donald Trump, who represents a real threat to democracy. But resistance must not be allowed to harden into its own brand of dogma or coercion, which right-wing demagogues are already exploiting. The democratic inclusion we want can be achieved only if we speak out against the intolerant climate that is set on all sides. And then it goes on a little more free expression, blah, blah, artists, freedom, a little bit of that stuff. Let me just say that this is hilarious, in a sense. They're writing about what is really cancel culture and the dogmatic authoritarian mania of the Democrat, socialist, leftist political side. Okay? The left, the libs. This is coming from them. This is their reality. Right? But just so that they like cover themselves a little bit, they're like, I mean, we know Trump is super illiberal. They're delusional. Trump gets criticized as a traitor. Trump has had journalists actively collude to get him thrown out of office and throw him in prison with lies. That's the whole Russia collusion thing. That's what they did. That's what CNN and the deep state and DOJ and all this stuff. And they act like Trump's a threat to free speech. Everyone who in the journalism world speaks out against Trump gets more famous, gets more money. Oh, but they're so brave. They're so brave because Trump is a tyrant. They're out of their minds. And right-wing demagogues are already seizing on this. You mean conservatives are saying you guys are ruining the country with this crap? The anti-intellectualism, anti-freedom position of liberals, quote, liberals, is ruining America. You are ruining our institutions. You are ruining our corporations. You are ruining our lives with this crap. This babyish, oh, I feel unsafe by your words. Your words make me feel unsafe. I don't like. And it's just so perfect that they start out this letter, all these big, Salman Rushdie and all these big, the guy wrote one book like 40 years ago, and since then has done nothing. But anyway, all these big names we all have to hear about. And they take their initial, and by the way, no one even would have known about the book except the Ayatollah put out a hit on him, which, was crazy. And that's illiberal. That's what true tyrants do. They'd say, oh, I don't like your book. I'm going to actually put out a bounty on your head now, right? That's something that we all could say, oh, wow, that's really scary. They act like Trump is, basically the Ayatollah. Yeah, they're absurd. And right-wing demagogues are seizing on this. No, we're just pointing out the obvious truth that this is destroying discourse and just intelligent conversation and destroying the world of ideas. And so much of the actual physical manifestation of the world around us is pushed by ideas, right? Whether it's wars between nation states or, religious conflicts or just how we feel that we all come together as one people in America and all this stuff. These are all ideas. And they're creating a conformity that is totalitarian. And this is all coming from one side of the political spectrum. It's coming from people who really are using identity politics. That's the main weapon. Say what we want or else you are anti-trans, you're anti-gay, you're anti-black, you're anti... They'll just go down, they'll pick an identity politics category, and that is the weapon for silencing all the time. Even if you're not even talking about one of those categories, right? But, your policy on X, your feelings on how we should deal with, a district attorney that won't prosecute murder cases properly is racist, right? Or, they'll take one thing that has nothing to do with the other and they'll say, but we find a way. That's how they do all the silencing. The great part about this letter, though, is that they did the whole throat clearing about, Trump is a threat and all this other stuff. And guess what? Libs, one already backed out on it. Now others are saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know all of these people who are signed on to this. They've already had one back out, and the libs have seen this online. Reading the comments is amazing, and they want them gone. They want anybody who signed this punished. This is a letter from, exalted intellectuals, acceptable in the academy and on the left, and some of them luminaries of liberals. And it's like, no, you can't sign that. No, now you guys need to be punished for that. To exactly prove the point. Even with the bending of the knee, even with we know Trump is a big threat, but maybe we should be able to have a talk, guys. No. The left looks at this and says, you're not allowed to say anything. You shut up. How about a nice warm glass of shut the heck up? That's what they're telling them. Of course.